Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L and hey, welcome to this video. We're going to be talking about Hero Academia Episode 1, Season 3. And my plan for this video, we're just going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about what I really enjoyed in the episode. And then we're going to have a quick look over at the Twitter feed for Episode 1. And when I say Twitter feed for Episode 1, I mean the Twitter feed or the Twitter exchange that ended up happening on episode 1's picture. So when you see it, you'll understand what I mean. Anyway, let's just very quickly talk about episode 1 of season 3. So right off the bat, it's a recap episode. The second season did this as well. Personally, I found this one to be a little bit more entertaining just because I liked the original content that they were shoving in here. But it's ultimately a recap episode. The amount of new material that we get, it's pretty small amount. That said, it's a nice restart to season 3, and I guess to some degree we can understand the recap as it's happening because the studio feels the need to give people a quick reintroduction to the characters. It's only mildly annoying because for the fans who are willing to go on YouTube to listen to episode impressions, chances are you know what's going on in the story. So unfortunately in that aspect it's annoying, but hey, whatever. The first episode, there's nothing that's really important to the plot here, but there are a lot of little cool, funny little humorous moments, such as Mineta and Kaminari being thwarted by Izuku and him being way too diligent, their whole scheme in general, and then just looking at how buff everyone is. Like, my god man, the biggest surprise here is that everyone except Mineta has abs and is muscular. That's amazing, alright? I did not think that. But when you think about it, like, these kids are going through combat training. Them being muscular makes sense. Ida especially, like, holy shit, boy. Man, this is the pinnacle Japanese man. Anyway, the original pool episodes, or sorry, the original pool materials, it's entertaining enough. One of the things that I really did find really funny though, as I was going through the episode, was when they were giving the quirk rundowns. First, I found it funny how Vlad was gonna go in there and talk about his class, and it's just like, nah, we're gonna cut that out. They don't matter. We're not giving quirk exposition for these characters. I found that funny. I liked the unevenness in the representation, and the other funny moment I found was that they called Izuku's quirk superpower. Other than that, the quirk explanation itself I don't think is super well defined. But the recap in of itself isn't that powerful. It's just really a overview glance type thing. Other little notes that I had for the episode are like this shot right here of the girls in the bikinis. That's a shot that's based off of this manga page, and I believe this was a standalone page that maybe came out with one of the volumes. So that was cool to see the designs reused there. Another funny note that I had was it's interesting that the boys are using the pool for diligent training while the girls just flat out used it for sunbathing. So interesting stuff. It's just a funny little flaw in the boys' plan, and it's really funny when you consider, like, guys, think about what the girls would use the pool for. Like, you went as far as to get it done on the same day that the girls went to request the pool. You know, I feel like a little bit of thought could have been just applied there. One of the things that I do also want to note is that the boys got more representation here than the girls. Like, the girls even say that they're willing to help out with figuring out what to do, or that they're willing to help out with like the races and all that. We don't get to see anything from them. This is just, I think it's unfortunate to say this, but I do believe Hero Academia has a slant to the males, and even with moments like this, you know, it's there, the slant is there. Like, why didn't we also see the girls get to swim, right? It's just the boys have a lot more going on with them right now, and that's the unfortunate reality of it. Any hoosers, that's just a point there to trigger you, but it's not really that big of a deal. It's just a recap episode. We can get over it. Anyway, let's jump on over to the Twitter feed, because this was pretty funny. Hey, okay, cool. So we're just gonna do it like this. You know, I'm recording this with the live stream setup, so if there's any glitches, that's why it's happening. Anyway, this was hilarious. So here's what happens on Hero Academia. Whenever there's a new Hero Academia episode, the author puts up a new little image on his Twitter. Alright, so this is the image that we got for this time around. Okay, so as you can see, it's the girls being like just in their bikinis and them being gawked at by Mineta and Kaminari. Okay, captures the feel of the anime original content pretty well. Okay, cool. Alright, so here's where it starts getting good. they are 15 years old. Okay, so me personally, I love it when people start adding context to sexualized drawings, because that's when shit gets really funny. And so, you know, as you can imagine, the Twitter feed just kind of devolved into a bit of talking about this when it came to this. So we're going to be covering that here too. Okay, so then you have like the, you know, the moderate people saying like, it's a standard bikini, most girls wear similar ones. And then you have this excellent comment right here. They're referring not to the style of bikini, but specifically the poses and the way they're meant to be gazing at the viewer. So let's break this down. They're teenagers, they're being sexualized by two other characters, they're meant to be sexy for the viewer. It's creepy. Okay, so whenever this kind of conversation happens, you know, it gets some people riled up, all right? Here's the thing. Here's where I stand on it. When you look at this drawing, yes, there's no question about it. One of these people's poses is meant to be sexualized. Mind you, there's also the very funny little detail here of Hagakure losing her top, but when you're invisible, it doesn't matter. Anyway, there is like truth. Momo is super sexualized in this shot here, right? So here's where the problem starts to really occur. There's two layers here, and it depends on which layer you want to stop on. Either you go all the way to the layer that says, well, no, 15-year-old girls... Well, no, 15-year-old girls, they do this kind of thing. They wear bikinis, just like the person pointed out down below. They wear bikinis, and 15-year-olds nowadays, they're okay flaunting to this degree. Like, I don't know. I come from a culture where girls would very often go get special pictures done when they like right around high school. So this kind of thing, yeah, I understand. Girls are willing to do this, but then there's that other layer that goes, well, no, so if you argue it from that perspective, it's natural. Like, this is okay because it's normal for real life girls to be in this kind of attire and doing these kind of poses, then okay, you would stop there. But then there's the other layer of saying like, no, there is a grown man behind the scenes who drew this with the specific intention to rile people up in that manner, right? There is someone who designed these poses because he knew they had an effect on the person who saw it. There was a person that did these poses because he thought they were sexy, right? That's when the context of they're 15 years old gets to be, I think, a problem for readers. On another level, I think that this is a bigger issue that has to do with identifying with characters. Like, look, okay, so I think I've said this on the channel, but I think there's two ways that you can relate or identify with characters in fiction, right? You either identify or relate with them as ideas. This perspective, I think, you don't really look at the characteristics that make them humans. You instead see them as vehicles of these themes or motions, right? Whereas the other perspective is you identify with them as people, or you buy into their human-like characteristics. So in this perspective, you end up identifying way more with the characters and their plights. And hey, man, look, listen, if you really like a character and this character means a lot to you, by no stretch of the imagination am I gonna berate you for it. It's just when it comes to these specific problems, that kind of perspective tends to cause a few more problems. These are made to model people, and in this context, those people that are being modeled, they're 15 years old. Then the whole idea of someone putting them up there for them to be sexualized by other people, most likely older than them, there is going to be that creep factor if you're relating to these characters as closer to people than they should be. Because otherwise, if you were to just see these characters as objects, they're just objects that happen to have characteristics that are designed to trigger certain brain pathways. So I think with the crux of this argument, like, it's always coming down to what degree do you identify with fictional characters? Do you see them as objects, or do you see them as close enough to human, such that you can apply human context to them? And then, you know, like, this person is just going down and just saying, like, if you have issues with this, I then highly recommend not watching the new episode. And like, this is ultimately what it comes down to. If you have an issue with this, watching anime might not be the best thing for you, especially when you get into the ecchi genre. And again, at this point, like, really, if this initial image gets to you and it affects you, Look, I feel there's a difference. There's a difference between acknowledging something and appreciating it versus indulging in it. But I personally am not going to judge you. You do whatever you want, man. If you want to indulge in drawings, that's cool, right? Not going to judge. Mostly because I'm aware it's very unfair. Drawings in anime, especially the etchier it gets, they're designed to get reactions out of people. I'm not going to fault you for falling prey to very selective targeting, okay? Like, there's a reason sex and marketing works, right? I'm not going to fault you for it. I'm not going to get into the complexities of how your brain interprets those drawings. Anyway, as we go down the list, like, people are just like talking more and more about the drawings, and they're just talking about how much drawings on pages actually do matter, because again, like, if we go with the idea that the shapes have human-like characteristics, that this person is just saying like, oh yeah, those shapes can impact reality. And that being like, you know, a bigger note on just how people digest media, people relate to media, and maybe people's views are shaped by media. So if you're in that perspective, then things like these will cause bigger issues. Now, everyone's going to be saying stuff, but here's where it gets real good, right? Right here, the age of consent in Japan is 13. Or like, kind of 13, but sometimes it can raise up to 18 years old is what they're saying. Alright, that's where it got hilarious, because at that point it's like, alright, is there really anything wrong anymore with what they did for this drawing? No, yeah, no, that just made it funny. This was the ultimate thing to just end it off on. While everyone else is arguing about what's going on here with the drawings, it's just, someone just throws it in here like, guys, technically by his cultural standards, this might be okay. I find it funny that this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the sexualization of drawings and how creepy it is. Like, guys, I really think the easiest way to just get out of all of this is to just simply appreciate the drawing and just leave it at that. Just go away from it, leave, and just, you know, don't make a bigger fuss about it, because once you start going down that rabbit hole, it's a bigger issue. Mind you, I have a very different perspective on this, and this is like one of those things where, as we saw in the Twitter feed, people really blew up on. So guys, if you want to like chime off down below, go for it. I really don't mind. Anyway, cool stuff. That was Hero Academia episode 1 season 3. It brought in a very interesting moral issue when it comes to how we perceive drawings and whether or not the sexualization of drawings to have the context of being children is appropriate or not. Again, like, guys, at the end of the day, these people aren't real. It's just a drawing. It just happens to affect a portion of people and creates bigger ethical issues. They're just drawings that unfortunately have an effect on population, because some people in the population have related to the drawings and have given them too much human characteristics. That's, you know, what I think is happening. But at the same time, to the people who do relate to the drawings to that degree, I won't fault you, because unfortunately, for better or for worse, a lot of the world is influenced by the media they digest, because that's how the media is designed. They want you to be influenced by it. Anyway, enough of that serious topic. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Till next time, I hope you have a great day.